everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangle Tech Talk series. Today we'll be demonstrating one of the new features in our version 12.1 release, Geolocation by IP, which allows you to utilize geolocation data to create and apply rules based on your client or server latitude and longitude or your country. So we're pretty excited about this new feature. My name is Shannon Miles. I'm part of the product marketing team here, and I'll be your host today. And I have with us John Coffin, who's our Director of QA, and he will be taking us through this presentation and going into a detailed demonstration of this feature. Next slide, John. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started, and I pass it over to John. Make sure that you are selecting the correct audio preference. If you do select to use a phone, you will need to dial in and use the access code provided. And as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you will have the option to rewatch or revisit areas that you need to follow up on or share this webinar with any of your colleagues. As always, our webinars are posted on the Untangle YouTube channel, and an email will be sent out tomorrow with the link to the recording. And as always, we'll be answering questions throughout this demonstration, so please just submit any questions through the Q&A box on the right-hand side, and we have some members on hand to help answer those questions. And as always, you can send any questions that we may not get to, or if you have a very specific question, to sales@untangle.com or support@untangle.com. Now, before I pass this over to John, I just want to reiterate that this is a very highly technical webinar. So if you're not familiar with Untangle or our solution or networking concepts, then I would suggest that you take a look at our 101 webinar series that cover more higher level topics. And you can always find a full list of upcoming or past webinars on our website. And with that, I'll pass it over to John.
Thanks so much, Shannon. Today I'm pretty excited about going over our new feature for 12.0. It's geolocation by IP. You're able to create rules and do certain conditions based on what country the traffic is coming to or coming from. So with that, we'll take a look at how the IP location is determined. What are the best strategies for using this new tool for geo-blocking? And then exceptions to the rule. Sometimes, every rule has to have some kind of exception. How the IP is located. So, you're connecting to some IP, you don't really know where it is. The whole thing is IP addresses that are internet addressable are delegated by a internet naming authority, and they provide where those IPs are. The GeoIP database that we do a lookup on is updated daily, so it's pretty current. There are exceptions. The first exception is private IP addresses. Those are the 192.168/24. You have the 172 addresses and also the 10.0 addresses. All those are considered private, and they will not return a location. Some of the best strategies. Geo-blocking, you really can't use it. It's kind of a blunt tool, so you have to have some finesse to using it because it can cause a lot of problems on your network if it's not configured correctly. Couple things, the session viewer will really help you determine where your traffic is coming from. Some examples I can give you, for example, if you're using Microsoft Office 360, you say like, let's say you're based in the United States, you say, well, there shouldn't be any traffic coming from any other countries. Turns out Microsoft Office 360 actually uses licensing updates that are cached around the world, and I noticed one of the places they go to is actually Singapore. So those are cases where you have to be kind of careful, and one of the best ways to do that is look at your session viewer. It's a tool that's a lot of times overlooked on how well it can help you find out what's going on in your network. So by default, the country code is not shown, but all you have to do is go to the columns and say you want the country. So I'm going to put the client, and I also want the server country, which is on there already. So in this case, we're looking at, in here, their private address is the client, so there's no country associated with that. But if we look at the server country right here, you'll notice that you know, it's pretty easy to read. We actually spell out the name, even though this is the unit code that's actually used. In this case, this one's a little bit boring today. It's only having connections from the United States. But this will help you understand what's going on, and you can take a look at it. I mean, obviously, if you see things like going to Singapore and Microsoft connected, you're going to want to allow that. One of the best ways to use GeoIP rules is in the firewall and the bandwidth control. So some examples I have here, this case has an FTP behind it. So if we look at our port forward rules, you'll notice, let's see, port forward rules, we have an FTP server forwarded to on this area. It's a very limited base. We only have a couple countries that use this FTP. So I want to limit the countries that are going to go to this FTP. So what I'm going to do is go to a special rack for that. And I want to go to my firewall rule. And so what I want to do is create and say, in this case, I'm going to put my destination is port 21 because it's my internal FTP server that's exposed to the internet. And basically I'm going to block any country that's not one of my known sites that are going to use it. So in this case, I'm going to block every country except the US, Netherlands. That's the only countries that I know of that will be accessing this FTP server. So if we go ahead and look at my reports, and we want to see, I actually made a rule, actually my own report, and we can take a look at that real quick to customize this. And this will tell me all, just today I've had, let's see here, I've had 2 hits from India on my FTP server. So if we go a little further back, let's take a look. Let's take a couple weeks, and then we're going to refresh that. It'll take a little bit. But so you can see all the different countries that have tried to access this server. I see we have here ES is Spain, United Emirates, France, I'm not sure ET, Great Britain, let's see, India. I might be wrong, but KZ I believe is Kyrgyzstan. We have China, and none means internal clients. Internal clients try to access the server, and then Russia. So as you can see, it's pretty effective in blocking countries that really shouldn't have access to the FTP server. This rule is actually not by default, so you do have to kind of create that. If we take a look at, let's see here. Where's my, sorry, got a little, so if we go over to reports, and I'll show you quickly how to make that kind of rule. So it's a real simple rule to make. I just say I want to know hits and client country for this. And then we just make a count, and it's going to be, I'm only looking for things that are blocked because I don't want all the countries. Obviously the ones I want to let in are fine. And it's a quick rule to make with that when I use geo-blocking. It's really easy to use. I even have it set up on alerts, so if we look at my reports, alerts, and I have it for my firewall block, so I get an alert anytime some country tries to access the FTP server that's not allowed. Just kind of interesting to see all the different connections to the FTP server. Again, really easy to do. It just requires making a rule that and you can do this in multiple ways. I mean, you can do a you can do an is allowed, is in those countries, and only those countries will be allowed in, and you can put a block rule after that. For me, the is not was pretty useful. When you're adding the countries, we do provide the country codes, so you don't have to look each one up, and you can just go through those and just select which ones you want to use. Or if you already know the country codes, you can actually specify those. Those are based on the Linux ISO rules, so it's a pretty standardized country codes on that. It's pretty comprehensive. Fairly recent updates for countries that were formed like in the last couple of years. Pretty easy to configure. Again, you can just select from the list, or actually, if you know the codes themselves, you just put them in there with comma separated. So this is a firewall-based rule. Let me show you a controlled bandwidth. For example, if you just want to manage the amount of bandwidth going to a particular country or certain servers or anything like that, you can actually just do those in bandwidth control also. Here's an example of that. We're just going to add a rule and just say, you know, low bandwidth, say to India, for example. And we're going to, because maybe we have a slower line going there. So what we'll do is go ahead and just put our server country is going to be, and I actually know for India, so it's IN. And then we're going to say, we're going to set the priority, and we're going to give it a low priority. And really, that's all there is to it. So any bandwidth that's going to be going out that has a server country of India will get the lower priority. Really simple to do. Simple to do. And then you can also get reports on based on countries that your traffic is going to. One thing you can actually do is make a little widget also to see by using, in this case, I'm using my firewall rule. I'm using top FTP block countries, and it shows me an hourly report of what countries are being hit against the firewall. It's really useful, really easy to make a widget. Again, making widgets is just really grabbing a report that you have. So if I go to add and I just want to select my report, so I'm going to do firewall. Actually, I need the name top. Let's see here. Should be towards the bottom here. Maybe not. Blocked. And why am I not seeing it? Anyways, you just have to kind of look up the name on the report itself. Oh, the reason I can't find it is I already have it in here. So top FTP blocked in. So if I took it out, it would show up in the list. I already have it installed, so it won't let me add it a second time. Anyways, really easy to use there. That's how to build the codes. Some unexpected consequences. So one of the things about geo-blocking is that you want to make sure that you're not blankly just putting rules to say, I will have no traffic going to all these countries. So you really have to look at specifically where the traffic is going. I can't emphasize more. That's really important to look at your session viewer, to take a look at the countries that your traffic is going to and make sure that's an allowed area. Today, with so many cache services like Akamai and so forth, they put data centers almost anywhere in the world. So trying to limit your traffic without carefully looking at the existing traffic of where it's going, you can really end up blocking yourself, or even some apps that require active license interaction can stop working. Case in point is Microsoft Office. Some of their licensing will literally stop if you block certain countries. So definitely look at, see where your traffic is going to, and base it on those. Like I said about cloud applications, a lot of those are cached globally. Be very careful trying to block, whole regions at a time. Again, private addresses also will not show up as a country code, and you can actually block yourself from your own servers. For example, if you say only servers coming from the United States can reach the server, if you're trying to reach it from an internal client, it will actually be blocked, because technically it's coming from a private address, and that's not United States. So you do have to put exceptions in for private addresses and so forth. Case in point is actually, you can actually see that this particular firewall rule right here. Let's go back to that firewall rule. So this rule, it says if country is not US, Netherlands, or Japan, FTP connections from inside the network, if they go to the outside IP, they actually be blocked, because they are not they're a null country code. So you have to be careful of that. What I did was just put a special route where internal clients their DNS is actually for the internal IP address instead of the external IP address. You can actually see that in this rule. So I could make it a lot easier for the people on the inside of the network to use that. So what I did was I just said, the FTP server is going to be at this address. Really simple, easy for them to use. And it avoids the blocking, and I don't have to make a special rule. But it's something to definitely keep in mind, that you can actually block yourself from your internal areas, because private addresses do not have a country code. It's a very simple geo-blocking tool, very easy to configure, but you can get yourself into a lot of hurt with that. So if you need troubleshooting for the geo-blocking, I highly recommend putting screenshots on the forums. We're more than glad to help you. Most of our developers are on the forums. We have several support people also on it, and of course, our customers, the public, yourselves, you're always helping each other on the forums. So I can't emphasize more how helpful the forums are. Do we have any quick questions?
Let's see. There are some specific questions around what type of traffic, does it apply to all traffic? And I believe we answered that. It's all based on IP address.
Right, so I see a couple of strings. So any traffic that goes through the Untangle will be managed by the geo-blocking. If your internal traffic goes directly to another internal device, that traffic does not go through Untangle, so it's not managed by any Untangle rules. That's a key thing to remember. So like in the case of this FTP server, the FTP server is on the inside of the network. Obviously, if I went to FTP, I would be FTPing to an external address. So to get around that, I actually put a DNS entry for the internal clients, so they would go directly to the internal address of the FTP, avoiding the whole blocking of the Untangle because they're coming from a private address. Again, the Untangle can only manage the traffic it sees. So any traffic that's going inside your LAN network, the Untangle will not see. Any traffic going out to the internet that is using the Untangle as the gateway or the online inline filter, it will see and it will manage it according to the rules.
There is one question, John. Does it matter what rack is used to block your FTP server?
Yes, so what's critical, again, I'll go to the session viewer, and you want to see, if you look at, for your device in particular, you want to see which rack that traffic is going through. In this case, I have a policy. So if we look at my policy manager in this case, so I have that service rack, and then I have a rule specifically for the FTP. So I say any traffic that's destined to this internal address will use the server policy. So in this case, I have to go to, I have several firewall rules, one for the default rack, and I have another one for the server rack. So only these firewall rules will be applied to my FTP server. So again, it works the same way as before, so geo-blocking is specific to the application that you're applying it to and which rack that application's in.
All right, I think you answered this already, but just in case, how often is the geolocation data updated?
So it's updated daily. So we have a set of rules that will be updated for each time. So honestly, those rules don't change very often. I rarely see changes, more than like once a week on it. So it's definitely pretty because the IP addresses don't get transferred between countries very often. I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the slide here. This is my favorite one. I was actually looking at a live box, and it had a connection to Antarctica. So Antarctica is actually listed as a separate country. So you can actually see that the internet is literally everywhere. Any more particular questions?
There was one that just came in. Can we make generic rules rather than application-based? For example, block all incoming traffic from China.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it does right here. So if you just want to do all traffic, you just basically take this rule out, and here you go. You're going to block all traffic that is not, in this case, not, but you could say is, and then you could block, and then just change it to China, which is cheating. And there you go. And you would block all traffic going and coming from China. Really simple to do. That's probably the simplest case. Like I said, be careful. You might end up with some unintentional when you're blocking entire countries at a time for all traffic. You never know. I know personally there's so much commerce that's done with China that it's almost very difficult to start blocking everything from a particular country. Is there a way to deploy option that we can display the ISP information along with geolocation? ISP information is actually not part of that, so that would be no. You cannot. Pretty much, I think that's.
Yeah, I think we're all cut up now, John. If you want to continue.
Again, definitely, post your rules to the forums. Take a look at the session viewer. It's really easy to do. The forums, we have different YouTube providing information on YouTube, so forth. So Shannon.
Yeah, thanks, John. Again, if you have questions, please just keep rolling them in. We'll address them as they come. But if you do need assistance, with anything, whether it be your installation configuration, specific customization rules, etc., we do offer professional services. So don't fret, don't worry. We're here to help. If the forums and the wiki are not able to help you, we do offer professional services. So you can just contact us at sales@untangle.com if you want to do that. Next slide, John. Thank you, John. So we are very excited to announce that Untangle was named to the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Unified Threat Management for the first time. This is very exciting for us. For those of you who are not familiar with Gartner, they are one of the world's leading information technology research and advisory companies. And you can review their report on the UTM market and see why Untangle NG Firewall was recognized on this report on our website. And don't worry, a link to this will be sent in the emails tomorrow, so you don't have to try and find it on our website if you don't want to search for it, even though it's on the home page. Next slide, John. And we are excited to also announce that October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and with that we are having a contest. It's the Horrors of IT Share Your Story contest. So on the forums, you can share your story, enter it, and there's some top prizes. The grand prize will receive a 1-year subscription to NG Firewall for home use, and then 3 runner-ups will receive a $10 Amazon gift card. So, John, if you want to quickly just show how to get to the forums from the website.
Sure.
If
you just click on the forums here. Oh, sorry.
It's under resources.
Just click there.
Or yeah, right on the home page. So it's on the forums, it's under announcements, and here's the thread. So as you can see that we've already if you scroll down, John, you can see that we've already had some people enter. So share your story. You never know, you could win. We're pretty excited to kind of bring this awareness since it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so check it out. And I think that's it. Let's see if we had any more questions that came in really quick before I wrap this up. Do you see any, John?
Let's see. If you're having a particular question on that, like if you have some IPs that are not showing up, definitely post it on the forums. We can definitely look it up. We have to take a look to see what's going on. I know we had a couple of issues where people say, oh, the country column is not showing up. It turned out they were on an older version of Untangle. So, and some people also didn't have the cloud Untangle telemetry on. So they were not getting updates from that. So that's kind of a crucial piece. Let me just kind of go over that real quick. One thing I was kind of looking at. So if you look at system and make sure you have this connected to Untangle Cloud set up. Otherwise, you will not get updates on that very well. So there might be some problems on that. And I think that's about it.
Yeah. Thanks, John. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully this webinar helped you realize and help you kind of set up your geolocation by IP. We do have an array of resources for you. As John mentioned, the wiki and the forums are there. We also are here for you on sales and support. So please just send a question or post it on the forums. You can look at all of our upcoming webinars that are for the rest of the year on our website. We have a 101 later this month, the upgrade recap. So if you're still on 9, that is quite an old version. It is 12.0 is a very, very new beast, and so it would be useful for you to attend this webinar and learn kind of what you're missing and how to upgrade. Even if you're on 10 or 11, 12.0 is a big jump and has a bunch of new features. And as you can see, we have a couple more tech talks later on this year. So we hope to see you at future webinars, and thank you, John, so much for the great demonstration. And have a great day, everyone.